Okay, well, hello everybody who is on this web bite this evening. Thank you for joining me. So, this series of mini talks or web bites is entitled 5 Keys to Amplify Your Healing Process and Shift Overwhelm into Fulfilled Purpose. So, 5 keys, 5 web bites. And web bites are mini talks where I will be delivering short bursts of information that are vital for you to know if you want to feel motivated, fulfilled, and content in your practice. My web bites are designed to give you clear, practical, useful information, tips and tools in bite-sized talks, because I know that as a busy person, you already have enough on your plate. So at the end of this web bite, I will let you know how you can work on a deeper level with me to harness the incredible powers of the world of personal energy through my life retuning system. I really want to help you to heal more people because so many need you so badly on this planet. And if you are worn out or drained or stuck, then you can't serve them as well as you could be doing. And that's no good for them, and it's no good for you either. So my aim is to help you as a professional to do the best job possible because your skills are desperately needed right now more than ever. People are confused, they're distressed, they're scared, they're suffering. But if you are going under with stress yourself, then you are quite frankly no good to anyone. As a professional practitioner, you have a requirement to maintain your own well-being in order to be able to serve others at the highest level. This is, after all, what you have chosen to be doing, and in my opinion, it is the most valuable work. But because you're a human being, just like your clients, you're just as vulnerable to going under as everyone else. I see coaches and self-styled gurus posting endlessly on Facebook about how they are leading the perfect, enlightened, stress-free life. And you know what? I don't believe a word of it. Maybe they are living on some remote island with no other people, or just not sharing the reality of their situation. I've been working with some of the most high power energy transformation techniques available on the planet for years. And I can tell you, I have days when I want to bury my head in the duvet and not face the world because I'm human too. The difference is that I'm here to share practical tools that either drop the chances of you suffering or get you out of suffering fast. That is how I use my tools and maintain my mood, energy, and purpose. So I want to get real today and give you some direction on how you can make sure you surf the turbulent waves of our times. My first key is to introduce you to the 3-part system, which will help you to avoid practitioner burnout. So let me ask you, how many of you end up with low energy after a day of seeing clients? How many of you are secretly blocking growing your practice because it is wearing you out already with the clients you have now? And how many of you are wondering what on earth you are doing and that maybe you should be doing something completely different? You know, I have found that one of the reasons healthcare professionals give up working with clients is because they find themselves experiencing all of the above states, and added to that, getting dragged down by the unhappiness that their clients are going through. Because of this, many professionals in the healing sector end up unable to work and suffering from the very problems they're treating their clients for. So that includes anxiety and depression. I mean, it's crazy. But here's the thing. A survey done last year by the British Psychological Society found that nearly 50% of the NHS psychological therapists who took part said they felt depressed, with a similar number feeling like a failure. I wonder how many of them are practicing self-care within the pressurized NHS system. These are sobering statistics. So let's drill down into one of the big reasons for this concerning outcome. When you're working day in, day out, listening to people's distress, how it affects their lives, it can really wear you down. You know, you can carry your client's pain home with you and find it a struggle to let go. That is a challenging and traumatic way to help others because you are sacrificing your own well-being. The reason you are being affected is because you are making yourself part of the equation. What I mean is that if you're doing this, you are investing yourself in your client's problems and are holding out for a certain outcome with them. Now that puts you under a lot of pressure. One of the things that happens when you have continuous pressure is that high levels of the three powerful stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, and aldosterone, are regularly flooding your system. Now, there's loads of research and evidence to show the damaging effects of stress over the long term, and you've probably heard a lot of it. Stress is such an overused word that it has almost lost its true impact. If you run your own practice, stress is part of the course. And it's easy to ignore it, isn't it? To just keep plugging on and not take it seriously, because that's what we're all encouraged to do in this Western world. But as a practitioner, you are used to focusing on your clients and grading their stress levels and responses. But it is just as important to grade your own levels too. And I have a quick and easy system that I use to check in with myself when I feel stressed or drained. And it's called the Traffic Lights Meltdown Monitor. Now, what I know is that if you are not aware of what is happening in your system, you will not take the steps to prevent yourself from getting depleted and sliding down the slippery slope to practitioner burnout. So there's a way to check the quality of your day-to-day life and pick up on specific markers of how healthy your stress responses are. I'm going to give you the 3 top indicators for you to watch out for today. And I have a free full Traffic Lights Meltdown Monitor resource to send you with all of the indicators on it. All you'll need to do is email me for it, and I'll give you the details at the end of this web bite. So, the grading system is simple: green, amber, red. Green is for mild and manageable. Mild and manageable stress. So let's find out what the indicators are for this. So you might be occasionally worrying, but it's not serious. You might have occasional headaches and digestive problems. Often if you go to the doctor, for instance, you'll be diagnosed as having IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. And you might be suffering from some irritation and mild frustration at the end of the day, but you can shake it off. And the advice here, my advice is that you need to find ways to relax. So whether you are exercising or doing yoga or dancing or walking, you need to do it regularly. You need to get enough sleep and you need to eat properly. And that means a clean diet. So whether you are into juicing or raw food or some healthy way of eating, you need to maintain it. So the next zone is continuous and concerning. So how do we recognize the amber stage? So the first indicator is that your stomach might be often in a tight knot, and you may find it difficult to actually switch off and go to sleep because your mind is churning over what's happened during the day. So because you're not getting the quality of sleep perhaps all the time that you need, you can be waking up feeling a lack of energy for the day ahead. So this is already an indicator that you need to really pay attention to your sleep quality. Your occasional worrying may very well have turned into ceaseless worrying about things that didn't bother you before. So you're starting to wear a little thin on your stress levels. And your workload may have started to feel more like a chore instead of a joy. So my advice here, if you are recognizing these three indicators, is it's time to find out where the stress is piling up and to actively reduce those things that are high stress triggers in your life. You know, are they at home or are they at work? And it's really good to just become consciously aware of what is going on at what times during your day or your night, and write that down and just take steps to mitigate and reduce those stressors as soon as possible. So if you don't pay attention and do something about the continuous and concerning zone, it's highly likely you're going to go into the next zone, which is dangerous and damaging. That's the red zone, red for danger. So how to recognize if you are already in the red stage? So you might be responding to your life circumstances with high levels of anxiety, depression, or a feeling of impending doom. That's the one to watch for more than anything else. If you're feeling that there's impending doom coming, then that's really a serious flag now. You may be suffering from insomnia by now, as you can't switch off even though you're feeling totally exhausted. And here's something to watch out for. If you're waking up at 3 a.m., this is because your cortisol, that's one of the three powerful stress hormones, it's trying to prepare you for the high stresses of the day ahead. So this is the time it starts secreting. And another symptom of high stress levels is jaw clenching and grinding your teeth. So if you're waking up and your jaw is clenching, you've got to actually, work at those muscles, then that's also an indicator that you need to be paying attention. And the third big indicator is that you might be starting to feel confused, forgetful. You might be going into mood swings, isolating yourself from others, and maybe even finding it hard to socialize. So my advice to you, if you do recognize these three powerful indicators, is you need to address this situation straight away. Don't wait, okay? Because if you don't address dangerous and damaging, then you are risking serious physical illness and maybe psychological problems too, such as clinical depression and post-traumatic stress disorder yourself. And you're meant to be treating your clients for this stuff. Don't end up becoming a victim of it because you're not paying attention to your own stress indicators. You need to seriously look at your life and reduce your stress levels immediately. Okay, if you don't, you could also end up with something that is becoming more and more common, and I'm seeing it with therapists and practitioners over and over again, and that is adrenal fatigue. Now, if you end up with adrenal fatigue, I can tell you it takes a long time to recover. So, what is going on here? Well, there's a way of protecting yourself while still being present for your clients. And you do that by taking yourself out of the equation. And what do I mean by that? I mean that when you're working with your clients, you keep your own issues and triggers outside of the sacred space of healing you are creating with your clients. You can become aware of whether you are in or out of the equation by considering some signs and checking whether you identify with them. So here are some signs that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I always say that the first step in changing something is to become consciously aware of what you're doing now before you can make the change. And that means, in this case, physically, emotionally, and mentally. So let's have a look at what you might be experiencing on a day-to-day basis within your practice now. And these checks are so important because they will tell you whether you need to go to the traffic lights meltdown monitor that I've just shared and grade yourself on where you are in the green, amber, or red zone. And that will then tell you what you need to do. So the first check and sign, if you're in the equation, is if you're getting upset by a client's distress and can't let go of what you've just heard. Now, I know that you're a sensitive person as a practitioner, as a healer, as a therapist, and as an empath, that you deeply care about helping people to feel better. And it's natural to connect with what they are going through. However, if you're finding that you are living your client's pain, then you're making yourself part of the equation. And when your emotions are triggered, the thing is, your mind is not going to operate to maximum efficiency. So what is the reason for this? It's because your mind biologically is not able to be in an emotional trigger state and a mental thinking trigger state. It's one or the other. So if you are triggering with negative emotions, then your fight, flight, stress response is going to kick in. And when that happens, all of your consciousness goes into your body so that you can either run away or fight for your life, right? Because originally fight, flight was about us surviving in prehistoric times or even further back. And when that saber-toothed tiger was chasing you, you were not thinking about plans for how you were gonna socialize later on with the clan of the cave, were you? So we need to look at what's going on biologically here. And the reality is your brain will shut down its analytical processes, leaving you with fuzzy thinking and an inability to focus fully on helping your client. Because at the end of the day, that's where this is really important when you're in your practice. So this can lead to the next marker. And that is that you're secretly feeling relieved when clients cancel. Oh, what a taboo subject this is, because you can't face hearing about their problems. Shock, horror. But you know what? Let's be real about this, shall we? How many of you secretly going, thank God that client cancelled? I can really do with some sleep, or I could do with some more time with my family, or just collapsing in a heap, this is the reality. So we need to discuss it because it needs to be addressed. And you can't discuss this with anyone. I know that, because after all, you are in the caring profession, right? And should have an endless capacity to deal with everyone's problems, shouldn't you? Well, no, because you are a human being and you have emotions and you are not an unfeeling robot. But I find, and I'm sure that you find too, that there's a perception that psychotherapists, psychologists, practitioners, therapists, healers ought not to have any problems because they have sorted them all out. And we go back to what I mentioned about Facebook with our self-styled gurus who are putting up, messages about how they have this perfect and wonderful sorted life. And that only does one thing. It puts even more massive pressure on you about what you see as an inappropriate feeling because it's hardly ever discussed anywhere. So I'm discussing it here today, folks. It's important to recognize it. And it's important to deal with it because it's only going to get worse. I can guarantee that. So you need to stop feeling guilty that you're falling short of being super carer. Now then, another big sign here is that you're starting to experience compassion fatigue, what I call compassion fatigue. This is the next stage on from living your client's pain. When you have heard many upsetting stories, you can reach a place of hopelessness in your own life and your own thoughts, and you literally switch off because you can't take any more trauma. If you care about people and you are an empath, that can hit you hard because you don't know what's going on. You know, you can't open your heart, you can't have the level of feelings that you had before, but here's what's going on. Our systems can only take so much hammering before they switch off, and that's where you're at if that's what you're feeling. So in fact, I can tell you this, compassion fatigue is called secondary trauma, or the cost of caring. As I said, your system just can't take anymore. It starts numbing you out. And what can happen in your practice is you can end up disassociating from your clients. You could just literally stop caring. And if you're in the caring profession, that's not a place you want to be. So the next marker I want to talk about is showing up when you are part of the equation, putting yourself as part of the equation, is if you find you are pushing your theory, technique, or agenda onto your clients rather than listening and adjusting to your client's needs and pace of progress. Now, especially if you're trained in using formulae, templates, and set processes, you can end up getting attached to your client getting a certain outcome, realization, or ending point. But what happens if your client's problems, reactions, and needs don't fit the mold? Then you might end up asking a lot of questions that you're not getting answers for, which might make you feel quite disillusioned and also panicky. And you might then find that you're repeating using the same tools over and over, even if those tools are not addressing the problem. And you know deep down inside that that is a situation. So again, what you've done is you have put yourself in the equation and you're blinding yourself to the reality of what's going on with your client. And the last flag or sign I want to highlight is what we call the imposter syndrome. So this is very common with high achieving professionals. If you're feeling this, don't be embarrassed or feel guilty. It's so common, and it is really the high achieving professionals, as I say, who are most likely to be feeling this. It's the feeling that you are a fake and that you will be found out at any moment. Now, you know this is illogical because you have your qualifications to prove you're competent at your skill set and probably many, many treatments under your belt. But you know what? Emotions don't run on logic. They are a visceral reaction to circumstances. You may be feeling a lack of confidence, ability, and experience, and you might be finding it embarrassing to actually be charging your clients for working with them, and maybe feeling a bit like a con merchant when you take their money. But you know, the more you worry about it, the more the worry will grow. I know many therapists who are absolutely terrified of charging their clients. And what happens is they come up with all sorts of excuses why they don't discuss the issue of money. And it just drops by the wayside. But the result is, if you don't, then you don't make any money. And what you do is then classed as a hobby or a vocation, but you're not going to have a successful, thriving practice. So if you've said to yourself, oh my God, that's me, to any of these behaviors, then you need to be addressing it. So what I know is that when you're making yourself part of the equation, when you're bringing your own depleted energy into your treatment room, because you're not dealing with your stress and you're not checking whether you're in the green, amber, or red zone, it can be really hard to stop your mind from hooking in to linking with an identification of your client with your own life. Your thoughts can become polarized, pulling up all of your opinions, judgments, and assumptions, making it hard to stay centered and totally available for your client within a session with them, because you're not focusing on them, you're focusing on trying to keep your own stuff out, right? And if you're continuously making yourself part of the equation and using your own energy, it does not serve your clients. and it can lead to you hitting therapist burnout. And that road leads to you losing your quality of life, your health deteriorating possibly, and you may even find you can't work anymore, especially if you end up with adrenal fatigue. That can slam into your confidence. And once that happens, you could rapidly find yourself in financial difficulties. And that is a hard place to recover from. And for many practitioners, that dead zone can last for years. So the first key is to take yourself out of the equation. And by checking the traffic lights meltdown monitor regularly and maintaining yourself in the amber or green zone, you are less likely to suffer from the above markers and instead be able to clear down your stress on a daily basis. And this means your own stressed energy will be affecting your client's healing less. It also keeps you resilient over the long term, and you can focus on growing your practice because you are feeling fulfilled, excited, and happy in the work you are doing to help others feel better and upgrade their quality of life. So, when you take yourself out of the equation, you know you have a clear space to respond to your client's needs in the best way. And when you can respond to them in a highly intuitive, supportive, and efficient way, they will feel you are the number one expert that they need. They will rave about you to their contacts. And guess what? You will get referrals based on your great reputation. So that's the key for today, taking yourself out of the equation. And I mentioned about the traffic lights meltdown monitor. So all you need to do in order to get hold of that and all the information on there, because I only shared the 3 top indicators today, but there's much more information, and you can print it off and you can put it in your office or your bedroom or somewhere where you can keep it in mind. And you can check yourself regularly because, as I said at the beginning, one of the things you need to do and you're responsible for as a practitioner helping others heal is to make sure that you're maintaining your own health. As they say, the saying goes, physician, heal thyself. And it stands today as it did thousands of years ago. So that's all you need to do. Just email me at ildeco@liferetuning.com in the next 24 hours and I will send you my traffic lights meltdown monitor. Okay, so basically by taking care of the stress levels outside of your sessions with clients, the next place to make even more changes is inside of your sessions with your clients. So the next key is all about how to make sure your clients' problems don't engulf you. And this is focusing on your client's energy instead of yours, your client's energy, and by shifting your perspective, changing the whole situation to open up deeper possibilities for their healing. So I really hope that you're going to join me on Wednesday for this next web bite, this second key to amplify your healing process and shift overwhelm into fulfilled progress. Purpose, even not progress. There you go. Even I make mistakes. And before I finish tonight, I want to just take a minute to share how you can go further with these tools that I'm sharing in these 5 web bites and accelerate your progress. I will be opening up a set of special sessions based on this series of web bites starting on the 23rd of October. And the 4 sessions I'm going to be doing and offering will be covering clearing emotional blocks to the changes you want to make in your practice. So whether you're feeling panicky, guilty, we talked about the imposter syndrome, we talked about feeling overwhelmed by anxiety, maybe low moods or depression. That's all what I'm going to address in the first session. So the second session is taking care of your blocking or self-limiting beliefs. And I'm going to be talking much more about this, opening this up in the fifth key to amplify your healing process. And I'm going to help you to turn that state of being stuck in self-limited programming, thinking, beliefs into determined action, which will then boost your success within your practice. The third session is an intensive boost for your chakra flow, including unhooking of old stagnant energy. Now, this is something that Life Retuning is fantastic at dealing with. So that session is all about getting your energy flowing and healthy and powerful so that you are putting the right energy out there for attracting your clients into your practice. And the fourth session is setting your clear vision for your practice to amplify your healing process. So we will go through and just make sure you're lined up with your goals and you're able to actually act on them. Okay, so if you want any further information on that now, all you need to do is email me at ildiko@liferetuning.com and I will send you some information, but I'm going to be talking much more during the other web bites about this program. And mentioning it again. So you're not missing out on anything at all if you don't email me now, okay? So I just want to remind you again, the next web bite for 5 keys to amplify your healing process and shift overwhelm into fulfilled purpose is going to be on the 11th of October at 7 p.m. GMT, 11 a.m. PDT. And I really hope you're going to join me for that. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me this evening in my first web bite of the series. I hope that you got a lot of value and information out of it. I promise you, if you use the traffic lights meltdown monitor, you are going to save yourself so much stress and distress. So at this point, I'm going to finish here and open up the lines.